Hello, for you Muslims who are watching this, I found something on Muhammad Tube that I couldn't find on YouTube, and I have my sneaking suspicions as to why I can't find it on YouTube, but I'm going to play it and record it, and I would like you to please post your comments about it, okay? I'd like you to try to set it straight here on what I'll be presenting, because I came upon the Quran and it sounded like the sun and moon not only travel in boats or vessels similar to their offspring Noah, but that Allah can even drown them if He wants here. Of course, I could be interpreting it wrong, and if I have, I'd like you to set me straight here, okay? But I'm going to play this thing for you, and when I'm done, please put your comments, okay? Bye. Okay, here we go. Let's see here. Let's see if I get the camera down here.
I walked hand in hand with the Prophet when the sun was about to set. We did not stop looking at it. The Prophet asked, "Do you know where the sun goes down at sunset?" I replied, "Allah and His Apostle know better." He said, "It travels until it falls down and prostrates itself underneath the throne. The angels who are in charge of the sun prostrate themselves also. The sun asks permission to rise again. It is permitted. Then it will prostrate itself again, but this prostration will not be accepted. The sun then says, 'My Lord, where do you command me to rise, from where I set or from where I rose?' Allah will order the sun to return whence it has come, and so the sun will rise in the west, and that is the interpretation of the statement of Allah in the Quran, 'And the sun runs its fixed course for a term decreed.' That is, the decree of Allah, the All-Knowing."
Quran 36:38. The Quran's 36th surah confirms this foolishness.
"A sign for them is the night. We withdraw from the day, and behold, they are plunged into darkness. The sun keeps revolving in its orbit at the dispensation of the All-Knowing, and the moon. We have measured for her the mansions until she returns like dried date stalks. It is not permitted for the sun to overtake the moon, nor can the night outstrip the day."
The sun and the day represent Yahweh. The moon and night symbolize Satan. The spirit of Islam has put us on notice. In his world, in his religion, he's in charge.
Each just swims along, floating in its own orbit, as a sign, as in a race, and we made similar vessels,
Chariots.
for them to ride.
That's what I'm talking
but
about.
we could have drowned them if we pleased.
The revealing spirit of Islam couldn't have been more foolish if he had tried. Swimming deeper into the vessel of Islamic cosmology, we discover,
Tabari. Gabriel brings to the sun a garment of luminosity from the light of Allah's throne, according to the measure of the hours of the day. The garment is longer in the summer and shorter in the winter, and of intermediate length in the autumn and the spring. The sun puts on that garment as one of you here puts on his clothes.
the sun wears clothes, and like us, their length varies depending upon the season. It even has a butler attending to its needs. I bet you didn't know that. According to Allah's prophet, Satan's hell, not God's sun, generates heat.
Bukhari. Allah's apostle said, "If it is very hot, the severity of the heat is from the raging of the hell fire."
As erroneous as all this is, Muhammad had no excuse. He could have said, "I don't have a clue." He could have studied the writings of the Romans, the Greeks, the Egyptians. They had it figured out 1,000 years before Muhammad's day. In that the authority of the Quran, of Allah himself and Islam, hangs upon his trustworthiness. This dim-witted delirium is distressing. Muhammad wasn't through embarrassing himself. He said,
Tabari. I heard Ka'b, the rabbi, tell a marvelous story about the sun and the moon. He said that the sun and the moon will be like two hamstrung oxen flung into hell. Ibn Abbas,
one of Muhammad's companions,
contorted with anger and exclaimed 3 times, "Ka'b is lying. This is something Jewish he wants to interject into Islam. Allah is too majestic and noble to mete out punishments where there is obedience to him. How could he punish 2 servants,
these servants being the sun and the moon,
that are praised for constant obedience? May Allah curse that rabbi. How insolent is he toward Allah, and what a tremendous fabrication he has told about these obedient servants."
Mind you, he's having a tizzy fit because Muhammad had said that the sun and moon were
obedient servants,
meaning good Muslims. So if the rabbi deserved to be cursed for his story, what do you suppose would be the appropriate punishment for Muhammad and his pals? And before you answer, remember the souls of 1 billion people hang in the balance. Ask another way. If you were given a choice, would you trust your eternity to this messenger?
Ibn Abbas took a piece of wood and started to hit the ground with it. He did that for some time. Then lifting his head, he threw away the wood and said, "You want me to tell you what I heard the messenger say about the sun and the moon and the beginning of creation and how things went with them?" We said we would.
Islam's lone prophet, Allah's only messenger, the Quran's singular voice, is about to prove whether or not he's worthy of our trust.
When the messenger was asked about that, he replied, "When Allah was done with his creation and only Adam remained to be created, he created 2 suns from the light of his throne. His foreknowledge told him that he would efface one and change it to a moon. So the moon is smaller in size than the sun."
Islam's prophet, the Quran's source, was either deceived, lying, or delusional when he said the moon was a sun.
Muhammad continued, "If Allah had left the 2 suns as he created them, night would not have been distinguishable from day. A fasting person would not know when he must fast. A woman would not know how to reckon the period of her impurity. Muslims would not know the time of the pilgrimage. Allah was too concerned with his slaves to do such a thing."
Muhammad's Hadith and Allah's Quran speak with the same voice.
Now this is important, people.
Allah thus sent Gabriel to drag his wing 3 times over the face of the moon,
The
which at the
Quran
time
eventually
was the
supports
sun.
this, I've discovered.
He effaced its luminosity and left
This
the
is
light
where you
in
need to
it.
come in and
This
put in your
is what
questions.
Allah means.
In Quran 17:12,
"We have blotted out the sign of the night, and we have made the sign of the day something to see by. The blackness you can see as lines on the moon is a trace of the blotting."
not only was Muhammad's Sunnah wrong, the prophet destroyed the
I've got to
credibility
check out
of Allah's
that.
Quran.
I've got to check out that
Tabari.
surah.
Kawa asked Ali,
Caliph at the time,
"O Commander of the Faithful, what is that smudge in the moon?" Ali replied, "Don't you read the Quran? It says we have blotted out the sign of the night, effacing it. That smudge
That
is a
seems
trace
to
of blotting."
confirm that it's
Ali
in the
was
Quran
right.
also.
The Quran says this very thing in Surah 17:12.
My gosh, I've got to check
That
that
was
out.
bad. This is worse.
Allah then created for the sun a chariot with 360 handholds from the luminosity in the light of the throne, and entrusted 360 of the angels inhabiting the lower heaven with the sun and its chariot, each of them gripping one of those handholds. Allah also entrusted 360 angels with the moon.
I can see you shaking your heads. You must think I'm making this stuff up. There's no way a religion this stupid could have survived a week, much less 1,400 years, right? But I didn't, and it did. In fact, one of the reasons I've given you so much of this is because of the way Muslims defend Islam's foolishness. They always accuse those with the courage to expose their scriptures of taking them out of context. So I have and will give you ample reason to rebuke such criticism. The more you know, the worse it gets. And by presenting Islam's creation account in such detail, I'm exposing you to the mindset of Muhammad, the originator of these stories. I want you to think about the character deficiency that would prompt someone to speak such lies in the name of God. More than anything, I want you to contemplate his motivations. Why would he tell his father?
I think you've heard enough, but you heard what the guy, his name is Craig Winn, what he presented. Can you show where you disagree with what he presented? Can you, if you disagree with it, can you tell what you believe about it and what you don't believe about it, okay? But I'd like to know, I'd like to have your comments. If you're Muslim, please put them, okay? Take care. Bye.
Followers that